Hello, class. I'm here with Kukuluku, and we're going to have a final little session on animal ethics. In the last session, I presented Peter Carather's argument, or a reconstruction of Peter Carather's argument, for the conclusion that our use of animals is not morally wrong. Now, as usual, we're going to consider some objections and replies to this argument. Let me try pull up my slides. Recall Peter Carather argues for contractualism, partly by eliminating rival normative moral theories. This theory says that morality is determined by what rational agents, by the rules that rational agents under special circumstances would decide. And the special circumstances involve the rational agents deciding upon the rules in self-interest and behind a veil of ignorance. They would decide on rules that, to some extent, protect rational agents. But they wouldn't decide, so Carather argues, on rules that protect animals in the same way. And thus, his favored moral theory doesn't guarantee animal rights. Now, as always, this argument, as the others, faces objections. We'll consider just a few now. The first objection is against the first stage of Carather's argument. The first objection is against the elimination of the rival normative theories, which is supposed to leave contractualism standing. We could have a few problems here. We might think that the objections against these theories, the objections we considered, especially in the first half of the course, against moral relativism, or the objections against the divine command theory, or the objections against utilitarianism, or against virtue ethics, or against all these rival normative theories, we might think that these objections aren't decisive. We did consider, when we explored these theories, replies to various objections, and objections to the replies, and replies to the objections, and so on. So maybe one of these theories is plausible at the end of the day. Maybe the divine command theory works, or maybe utilitarianism works, or maybe virtue ethics is plausible theory, and we can answer all the objections that have been raised against it, that Carather raises against it. And so we're not left with contractualism as the only viable normative theory. We might also wonder whether we've considered enough an exhaustive list of moral theories. Perhaps there are moral theories beyond the ones we've touched on and beyond the ones Carather touches on. Maybe there are moral theories that deserve some attention that we haven't given them yet. So this first objection is a very general objection. The second and following objections are a little bit more specific. Well, let's move on to the, there are a few on the screen. I wonder if we'll have time to cover them all. I mean, I have time here to cover them all, but we've been spending a while on this animal ethics part, and I want to wrap up quickly. So the third objection is on the slides is that many people do love animals, especially their pets. So if they were acting out of self-interest, behind the veil of ignorance, not the rational agents not knowing whether they will be people who love their pets, okay, would frame laws that protect pets, that give pets some moral standing or some rights. So recall the veil of ignorance in the special scenario where we have rational agents deciding on the rules that are constitutive of morality. Means that they won't know, that the rational agents don't know what place in society they're to have, that they have. So they're not going to frame laws that exploit people on the basis of their ethnicity, on the basis of their age, on the basis of their sex, and so on, because they don't know. The agents deciding on these rules don't know what ethnicity, what sex, and so on they're going to have. Similarly, they don't know whether they're going to be subjects that have pets, okay, and that love their pets. So they might frame rules that would protect pets. But we should consider, Carruthers considers some replies to this, including just this. Even people who do love their pets don't typically love other animals so much. People who adore their cats and dogs are more than happy to eat cows and sheep, including cows and sheep that have been factory farmed. So, so it seems that even if behind the veil of ignorance, these rational deliberators were to frame laws that protect pets, they wouldn't frame laws that protect animals on factory farms. Most of the animals that we farm and experiment on are not pets. And so our farming and experimenting on them would not be wrong, even by a set of rules that we agreed upon that did protect pets. Here's another objection. If contractualism is true, says objection 4, and using animals isn't wrong, then it follows that dousing a kitten in kerosene, in gasoline, and igniting it for sadistic fun wouldn't be wrong. Imagine some hoodlums find a kitten and they douse it in gasoline and they set it alight. And the kitten will suffer terribly, and this would be a horrific scene, but these are very sadistic hoodlums and they're enjoying the scene. Now, according to contractualism, if Carruthers is right, what they're doing to the animal, since animals don't have rights, isn't morally wrong. But that seems very strange. It seems that, to most of us, I hope, that dousing a kitten in gasoline and setting it on fire is gravely morally wrong. Contractualism gives us the wrong verdict about this extreme case, and so contractualism must be false. Even people who think that eating cows and sheep, even people who think that factory farming cows and sheep is morally permissible, wouldn't think that torturing this little kitten is morally permissible. Contractualism gives us the wrong answer. So much the worse for contractualism. So here's a little reply to that objection. That the objection is that while kittens don't have rights, don't have moral standing, according to contractualism, cat lovers, the people who own the kittens as pets, do have moral standing. They are rational agents, and the hypothetical contract will protect their interests. Okay. And they have an interest in not having their pets ignited. Okay, they have an interest in the animals they care about not being tortured. And so the contract will protect their interests and preferences. And so there will be, even if there's no duty towards the kitten, even if the cat doesn't have any rights, the cat lovers, the rational agents who have cats as pets, will have rights, and we have duties to them not to harm their kittens. Okay, and that gives us an indirect duty to the kittens. It ends up even on contractualism, being morally wrong to ignite the kitten and torture it. So contractualism can give us the right verdict. Okay. There's the objection and a reply. The slide also displays a reply to the reply. And that reply is that there are cases where no rational agents care about an animal. Okay. There are cases where no rational agent would be harmed by the torture of an animal. Imagine this is a stray kitten. Okay. Imagine this is the lost kitten in the world, and there's only one person in the world, and this person will derive pleasure from torturing the kitten. It would seem to be wrong to torture the kitten, but we can't make sense of this wrongness in terms of indirect duties to the kitten, in terms of having a duty to the cat lover or the owners or those people who do care for the kitten, because as the case is described, there are no such people. So if this reply to the reply works, maybe contractualism ends up giving the wrong verdict about this case. There are other problems. Here's a problem that might exercise us more. And the problem is that just as the rational agents know, insofar as they know that they're rational agents, just as these rational agents deliberating on the basis of self-interest behind the veil of ignorance, okay, coming up with rules that are to govern society, know that they are rational agents, and just that they do know that they're rational agents and that they're not animals, okay, and won't frame rules protecting the animals. They have no special interest to do that. So too, the objection goes, these rational agents will know that they're not irrational human beings. There are human beings that have very limited capacities for rationality. Infants, mentally disabled people don't have the same rational capacities as other people do. Often, they don't have as much rationality as cows or sheep do. And just as the agents in the special circumstances coming up with the rules that are to be the moral rules, don't come up with rules protecting animals, so too they wouldn't come up with rules protecting infants or the mentally disabled. And thus contractualism, just as it allows us to factory farm and experiment on animals, irrational animals for food, will end up to farm them for food or experiment on them for medical research, just as it permits our doing these things to irrational animals. Contractualism will permit our doing these things to irrational human beings. And that seems very counterintuitive. Has contractualism given us the wrong verdict here again? So much the worse for contractualism, you might say. So there is another big objection. I'll leave it to you to think about this one. End on a negative note, as I often do. because, and I'm not going to consider it further or further objections, because I really do want to wrap up this section on animal ethics so that we can move on to the final section of the course, metaethics. Thank you. I'm sorry that some of these videos are, well, all of these videos are very rough and ready, and that they're not as exciting and fun and entertaining as the in-person classes are. I hope they're somewhat illuminating, and along with the readings, will give you, the readings I've uploaded onto Blackboard will give you a good enough understanding of the question of animal ethics, arguments on both sides of this question, and replies, objections and replies, as we do to these arguments. Thank you. I hope I can do a better job with metaethics. Stay tuned. I plan to upload some recordings about that soon.